Hey, what's up, y'all? You are listening to your Mental Matters podcast. And for those of you watching, thank you for tuning in. I'm your girl, Mo Lu. Here today with a very special guest, He-Man Armstrong.
Yes.
Um, hey. And yeah, He-Man, I want to have you introduce yourself to the people. Who are you, He-Man? Where are you from? What do you do?
My name is Heman Armstrong. I'm 25 years old. I'm a filmmaker from Brooklyn, New York. I've been tackling film since I was in the seventh grade and working to pursue my career in cinema. Um, I have a Caribbean descent. I'm Guyanese. I actually grew up in Guyanese. I actually grew up in Guyana for a bit when I was younger. And I came up here. I'm a graduate of Binghamton University, got my BA in cinema as well. And I have an associates in digital filmmaking, which a lot of people don't know. And I'm minored in psych. So when people would try to say, "Oh, how comes you got into mental health?" I was always into mental health, but then my personal life experience made me want to focus on it more.
Dope, dope. And yeah, He-Man, thank you for,
Thank you for
accept
having
yes.
me.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you for accepting, the request. Um, I reached out to you because we have a mutual friend that, said like, yo, I think he would be dope for the podcast. Shout out to JB. And yeah, I think yeah, it just for me, I love what you're doing. Like I think after, I found your social media, I kind of was just like, yo, like this is fire. Like I don't feel like I know a lot of men who are doing what you're doing. Um and so for me, like I was definitely like, I want to hear about it. I want to talk to you. I want to find out like what's the inspiration behind like being a mental health advocate and you doing what you do. So I appreciate you for being here. And yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And so yeah, I mean, a part of the podcast, I have a segment. It's just a mental health check-in, just to find out like how are you doing currently right now? How's your mental health?
The truth.
The truth, the truth, the truth.
I'm stressed. I am not gonna lie. I'm stressed. I've been stressed for the last 6 months, and it's not really good to be stressed at this young age. Um, but if I'm being transparent, I'm stressed out, and it's because I'm working on a project, a mental health project at that. So it is mentally draining when you're working on mental health content. Um, because you have to really put in your emotions into your craft. Well, I put in my emotions into my craft. So literally it pause, suck me dry. But it's just like I'm okay, but I'm stressed out. But I think by the time the next 2 months I'll be fine. But that's exactly where I'm at right now. What about you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you for sharing that. I love the honesty all day. I think for me, I'm also very overwhelmed. I've been like for the past, I'm not even gonna lie, maybe for the past 2 weeks, I've been so overwhelmed with just life. I was, talking about it with you a little bit before, but for those of you guys who have been listening, you guys know like I'm in my master's program to become a mental health counselor, and so that has been very overwhelming. Just being in school, being a student, period. Like there's just a lot that you have to juggle, um, and yeah, also, like my social life. I can't even lie. Like I've gone through a lot of ups and downs. I feel like since COVID it's weird, right? Because like 2020 COVID had us in the house, but I feel like a lot of like people's relationships and like social interactions were challenged at the same time. And so I feel like I've dealt with just a lot of challenges with just relationships, friendships, and I feel like it has
Same.
it's taken a toll on me.
But it did take a toll on me for a bit. I don't
Yeah.
think I was just fed up. Yeah, type.
Yeah, like you just get to a point where I mean, I'm an emotional person, right? But I feel like you wouldn't really know that like I'm going through it or feeling things emotionally until I get to like my breaking, like you said, like until you get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm fed up. So I feel like recently I've just gotten to a place where I just started to feel burnt out. And I was just like, you know what? You know what? I'm gonna just maximize on self-care. So that's what I, when my mental health feels like it's kind of like out of whack, because like, your emotions can affect you mentally as well. Like everything's kind of connected. So if
Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of like depleted emotionally, then like mentally I'll start to feel off. And so I've just been maximizing on self-care. So I like, going to get massages, doing fun things to kind of like take the pressure off of
Got
life.
money. You must go massage. Every time you feel a little stressed out, you gonna get massages. Take me with you. I
I can't
cannot.
lie. Yes, I will. He-Man, I got you. After this, I'm giving you the info because
Peace. Every time I feel stressed out, yeah, I'm gonna get a massage. Yeah, all right.
I have to. I will, at least I incorporate that. I try to do it like once a month. So it's like, okay, if I can't go every 2 weeks or every week, then I'm gonna try to do like at least, once a month because it helps. No lie, it helps. It
Last
helps.
time I got a massage was my birthday.
Okay.
That
When's
was
your
in
birthday?
February. My birthday is in February. Pisces gang.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the last time I got a massage. Self care. I be trying to do that every Sunday, but like I said, my mind be all over the place. I can't like sit still right now. Um,
What do you do for self-care?
it sounds. It's gonna sound hella weird. Wash dishes.
Mm.
I don't know what happens when I wash dishes. But I can't wash dishes and be listening to music or talking to someone on the phone or talking to someone that's present with me. Like I gotta wash dishes just by myself, just there. And the thing is that if I'm not by myself, relaxing washing dishes, I hate washing dishes. Like if
Mm.
someone's on the phone, I don't want to wash dishes. If someone's in a house, I don't want to wash dishes. But when
Wow.
I'm alone, I like to wash dishes. It makes my thoughts flow. There and in the shower, but self care that is it sounds weird, but washing dishes because it helps my mind recenter a lot. Um, Other than
Okay.
that, I don't do nothing because the thing is that, and I'm gonna be honest, people would say do things that you like for self care. I love film and I would do that for self care, but then again, that's a job.
Right.
So it's not really self care to me. That's more of a mental strain because I have to have so much focus and dedication to my art. So that's not self care. And other people will be like, well, grooming yourself. I mean, I think you should be grooming yourself
Right.
consistently.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be like a self care thing. That should be a health thing. Like you should be
Mm-hmm.
grooming yourself consistently. People say hang out with your friends, go to the parks and whatever. That's cool, but that doesn't really fulfill me. So I like to
Right.
wash dishes. What you
I love
do?
that. And it don't have to be like,
So you just do massages.
as of right now, I can't lie to you, that's been the main thing that's been keeping me afloat over the past like month. I can't lie. Like doing the massages regularly and consistently has been it. So, I mean, and at one point that wasn't it. It was like sleep. I would just sleep. And then when I would wake up, I would feel more refreshed. So it depends. Like, really, I feel like it could be unique to you. Like you were saying, washing dishes, to some people that might not be then, you know, necessarily like common, but it don't have to be common as long as
Yeah,
it works
not
for
washing clothes though. I can't
you.
stand washing clothes.
No, I love washing clothes.
What? You gotta wash and dry in your crib?
I have one, but it's broken. It's broken. So now
So
I
you
go
go
outside.
out,
I go out.
enjoy that? Negative. I don't like outside. Like no
Got you.
outside. So to be interacting with strangers in a laundromat and it gotta be in the same circumference as them, not my type of party. Especially during COVID, that was not my type of party.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you. I feel you on that completely. Completely. All right. So we got the mental health check-in. And so, all right, let's get into it, right? I have a few questions for you. Um, as a black man, right? And before we get into that, this episode I wanted to dedicate to being that you are a black man, right? I wanted to dedicate this episode, and we've had a couple of black men on previous episodes, but I always like to make it a point that this is like important to me, to this space. Having a Black man be able to share openly about his experience in the world, about his mental health. And so, yeah, this is kind of what this episode is dedicated towards, just kind of getting to know you and, how it's been for you in this world, in your experience. So, yeah, we're going to get into the questions. Um, the first one that I have for you is, as a Black man from New York, how difficult have you found it to be able to express your feelings growing up?
Emphasize from New York because people don't understand the jungle. Like
Right.
New York is a jungle. As soon as they see that you're quote unquote weak, they would eat you alive. And
Mm,
that was the thing growing up. I was raised in a household with both of my parents, and I'm the only child, so they was very tender with me.
okay.
Um, so when it was time for me to step outside to the outside world and go to school and stuff, I was just a tender person all around, and I got torn apart for that. I got called all types of names out of my name. All that, it was crazy because they deemed me as soft because I was more so kind. I mean, I can't say I was soft. I was just more loving. I knew how to show love because that's what my parents showed me growing up. Other than the pressure of me going to school, because that's a lot of stuff that's like one of the main stuff I dealt with my parents that conflicted with my mental health as I got older, the pressure of being in school. But they grew me up with love. So when I would go outside and try to show this love that I know from home, I was deemed as, yo, what the F is this boy? Like, what is it? What is he like? What is he talking about? Or why is
Mm-hmm.
he acting like that? So that was difficult. And then the thing is that my cousins and family, they was also grown up different than me. They didn't grow up with as much comfort. So they used to say the same thing everybody else used to say, like, oh, what's wrong with him? Like he mad soft, he this, he that. Um,
Mm,
so I'd struggled with that as well. But that's was my personal struggles growing up. But that didn't change. I still be sharing out love.
I love that. And I guess I mean, if you could get more specific, like what are ways that you tried to show love or express love when you went outside that people were like resistant to? Like what would you say or what would you do that people were like,
I
mm,
would genuinely try to know how they're feeling or what they did yesterday or what they, because when you're young, you're trying to have conversations like, hey, what you did yesterday, was it fun, did you enjoy that with your family, that's cool. And everybody was like, he's
sweet? Oh my God.
weird, like why is he even asking me to, because you got to remember, I'm from Brooklyn at that, so they
Yeah.
probably like, he's weird, why is he trying to know my business, why is he like, that's just weird stuff. But that's just how I was. I just was always
Mm-hmm.
interested to know what the other person was going through. But I was always ridiculed and bullied, which was so
Mm,
strange because for that. And which suck is I used to get bullied a lot about it for being so quote unquote soft. When I got to high school, I tried to change my whole demeanor.
mm,
High school, I was not myself. Like I came into high school cocky, you know, full of myself, don't want to talk to nobody, violating people because they're not like me or can't dress like me. Like I gained this arrogance that was just terrible. And then it followed me onto college. And I think that came from me trying to cover up my sensitive side. And then in college, after I got sick, um, dealing with mental health,
mm,
that's when I started to revert back to the childhood me. So it took me being hospitalized to revert back to the childhood me because I haven't been me since ninth grade.
mm.
Yeah, everything changed since then.
Okay. And yeah, like can you talk about that some more? So like ninth grade, you said you wasn't yourself since ninth grade. So
Yeah,
was there something significant that happened around that time that caused the shift, or did you just notice the shift and not sure like what caused it per se?
the thing was that I noticed people were like judging me and didn't know me. Um, so ninth grade, I went to a school so far away from my middle school. I went to school in my middle school close to where I live, and then I went to high school all the way deep in Coney Island. Like I had to take the train ride an hour and a half, almost an hour and a half. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes from my house in order to get to school because I didn't want what used to be in middle school to travel with me into high school. But
Mm-hmm.
then in high school, sometimes it will peek through because I was trying to change my ways, and then people will still say I'm soft and stuff in high school. Some people, um, but it wasn't as harsh as it was in middle school and elementary school. So it's like I try to escape from it, and then when I felt it was like lingering a little bit in high school, I try to find a college that nobody knew me at and just start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it was. I feel like I was always just running from myself, um, because I'm just a tender, emotional person to begin with, but I didn't want to show that. So that's what made that was the change. It was more so I knew that that was an issue. Well, it wasn't an issue, but I knew that that was what was causing me to feel a certain way because it
Mm-hmm.
was a judgment of me. So I used to run away from things, and I try to change my demeanor in high school. Like I'm like, all right, this will happen in middle school. Let me change my ways. Maybe they're not gonna say those stuff about me in high school. And
Got you.
times moments I can't help it because that's just me. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, wait, what the hell? Like, yo, stop being so soft. Stop being this. Stop being that. Got judged for it. And I'm just a nice person. It could be misconstrued a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure. People don't be knowing how to handle niceness because, especially like using New York, because I think New York is a very unique experience. If you're not from here, you may not get it. So, what you're saying, I completely know exactly what you're talking about.
New York is
Um,
grimy.
huh?
New York is grimy. The
Exactly.
entire New York is grimy.
Exactly, exactly. People from New York. I mean, some people they've had to endure hard experiences from young ages. So like when people come with genuine, pure niceness and love because their experience was different, people don't really know how to handle that. So I think like yeah, I yeah, and I appreciate you for sharing that too because I'm sure at the time, like it was difficult to deal with. And I know you mentioned when you got to college, your college, you got sick while in college. Can you talk about that? Like
Yeah.
what?
That was the first this is the first time I ever told that timeline. Like nobody really asked me a question like that before. And I did a few interviews, but nobody ever asked me that question in terms of the timeline from when things shifted. But
Mhm.
it's the first time I ever discussed that. Hmm. Should I have said something? Maybe not. But oh,
This is a safe space.
when it happened on my junior year. All right. I could get really in depth with it, or you just want me to touch the surface with it.
No, for sure. Get in depth. Like, I'm here. We got time, but
All right. So actually, I was actually talking to someone yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, and they had asked me about what happened when in my junior year, like because I dropped my campaign video for my film, and I was talking about actually before I went into the hospital. No, I remember who it was. I don't remember who it was. But after actually, before I went into the hospital, I was feeling sick prior. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like my whole body would get numb.
Mm.
Like, I remember this was around Halloween 2016, and I wasn't gonna go out to Halloween. You know how it is in college when it comes down to Halloween weekend. And I wasn't gonna go out. And then my friends was like, nah, like you gotta go out. You gotta go out. This Halloween gonna be lit. And I just didn't feel right. I felt very sick. My body felt very odd, but I still went and I tried to drink on top of it. So I was really struggling from before. And I knew I was stressed out about school. And I know I was stressed out about home issues. I know I was stressed out about a lot. I don't know if that was the reason why my body was feeling like that. But then after that day, it was just downhill. I started to smoke a lot more, drink a lot more. Like it's crazy because talking about this right now, I actually feel the feeling. Like it's getting hard to talk. I'm not gonna lie, but it's
Mm.
like I feel the same feeling from back then. That's probably sometimes I get annoyed or like over it when I always had to mention that, like, yo, I went through this in 2016, because it's like my body automatically like starts to feel what I used to feel, and I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then after I had got sick in November, I went in because they said I was smoking weed, and I tripped out, and that's what the reason was. And I was in a hospital for some time.
Who said that? Who's they? The doctors or?
Doctors, yeah,
Uh,
like, oh, you was smoking weed. You know, you're a college student, and then you're smoking weed. You're allergic to the strand. I'm like, what the? Yeah, I've been smoking weed for a hot minute now. What are you talking about? I'm allergic to the strand. So they blamed it on that, and I don't think my mom knew I smoked yet. I think she kind of had a clue, but I don't think she knew. And then when the hospital, she was like, call the hospital because I'm in college. She was like, call the hospital. Let me talk to them on the phone. Because the hospital used to call me to check up on me after I left. And I
mhm.
was like, my mom want to speak to y'all. And then it was like, do you know why he came in? Like he came in and he had marijuana in his system. My mother was like, marijuana who? I was like, mommy, weed. Like trying to like shut the doctor up. I'm like, damn, you a snitch. And then the doctor and my mother was like, okay. So the doctors hung up. My mother automatically blamed it on the weed too. Like she didn't want to believe me in terms of how I was feeling mentally. She was like, it's because you smoking, you did this, you messing up yourself, you're not focusing in school. Mind you, I had a 3.4 GPA at the time, so I'm confused what she was talking about. But she was like, you're messing
And
up
at
the
Binghamton, that's great because I know Binghamton is academically is rigorous. That's a
yeah.
rigorous school.
She just said that because I dropped from a 3.7 to a 3.4.
Okay.
It's dramatic. But she she was saying she was blaming it on that. And then after when she realized it was an issue, I started to get panic attacks and I couldn't sleep. If the room wasn't 20 degrees, I couldn't go to sleep in it. I
Mm,
would burn up. It was so weird. I will burn up and I would sweat, like cold sweat and burn up. My body would be on fire. Like the room needed to be 20 degrees. And I couldn't sleep alone. Like literally, I had to go to my friend crib and sleep in his bedroom. And you know how small them dorm bedrooms are if you have a single. I used to sleep on the floor, and he's like, we're not cool no more, but I respect him so much still, and I will always remember that. He used to go through the be in the cold room, 20 degrees with me, so I could feel good. Um,
wow.
because I was just so afraid of everything. And I would wake up in the middle, I would have vivid dreams, like vivid nightmares.
Mm,
It was it felt so real. It was crazy. But then that was the start of everything. And then after it just kept on going downhill, downhill. I started getting worse. I started dropping weight. I couldn't function. I started crying out of nowhere for no reason.
mm-hmm,
And then my mother just couldn't take it. And that's when she took me to a psychiatrist because she was,
mm-hmm,
all right, these doctors are saying it's weed, but I think it's more than that. And when I went, they diagnosed me and then tried to like put me on medications. And my parents are Caribbean. They was like, hell to the no, you will be drinking herbal tea
mm-hmm,
and you will be working out and going to the gym and doing stuff along those lines in order to get yourself better.
mm-hmm.
If I'm being transparent, I haven't gotten better until recently. It took that long. That happened in 2016. How many years is that? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I'm about to be 5 years. And I just recently got better. And I always think that before I used to thought that I was getting better, like, oh, I'm better now, I'm better now, I'm better now. And then revert right back to this like downward spiral. But now I know that I'm better. Like I could feel it. It's a difference. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the way I think, the way I process stuff, the way I believe in myself. Like I definitely got better. I
And
know that's a
I'm
long story, but yeah.
no, no, I appreciate you for sharing, and I'm happy to hear that you're better. I think, and I wanted to ask you too, what was the diagnosis? I know you said they diagnosed you and was trying to put you on medications. What was the diagnosis exactly?
Chronic depression and severe anxiety attacks.
Okay.
So like it wasn't regular borderline depression or regular, it was chronic depression. I was so depressed. It was like I was dropping weight. You can see it in my face. Like when I
Mm,
go outside, like I got bags underneath my eyes. Like I haven't slept. Mind you, I slept, but I just didn't sleep throughout the night. I just looked my skin was just it just looked it was bad. It was taking a physical toll on me. And
mm-hmm.
severe anxiety attacks, the only thing that can calm me was the song Girl by the internet. That's the
Mm,
song that used to calm me. That and lavender. If I had to have a cloth with lavender oil and I had to sniff it the whole entire night until I fall asleep. If I did not do that, anxiety through the roof. So um severe anxiety attacks, I used to catch anxiety attacks like 4 or 5 times a day
mm-hmm.
rapidly. So that's why they diagnosed me with severe anxiety attacks.
Okay. Um, well, yeah, once again, thank you for sharing that. And I think, just hearing, um, the Caribbean aspect too, because I'm Caribbean as well. So I understand just, just the stigma, period, right? That comes with you got being black, being a man, and being Caribbean, like
That
it's
mixture is yikes. Yeah.
right, right. Because being, a black Caribbean woman, I understand that it can be hard to even feel like you can voice it and be like, no, something's going on with me mentally. Like I haven't been feeling good because, like it's taboo. I mean, in third world countries, it's still kind of the stigma still exists and it's still a little bit taboo. I mean, in America, once Caribbean people come to America, they can assimilate and adapt, but it still sometimes takes a while. So I'm glad that your parents were able to say, okay, or your mom was able to say, like, okay, let me take you, even though it took a little bit of time and you were
My
able to.
dad was there too. Let me not give him credit. He was there too.
Okay,
He
good.
he's just a quiet person. He doesn't say much. Like he just like he's just there. My mother's the loudmouth. That's why they put so he's
Right.
there, like
Mm-hmm.
there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm glad they were able to, come through for you and, get you the help that you needed. Um, and it sounds like you advocated for yourself too, like even though you were sick, you were able to see like, no, like I'm going through it mentally, that's what's going on. And then they were able to, be like, okay, like let me look into this for real. So I think like that's just a dope, even though you were struggling at the time, it's a dope story to hear because there's some men that would suffer in silence and just continue to keep on feeling how they were feeling and keep drinking, keep doing
But
whatever
get
until.
coming from though, honestly speaking, because when I first felt how I was feeling, I'm be honest, I didn't like I knew something was wrong with me mentally, but mental health didn't come to my head. Like anxiety and depression didn't come to you know what came to my head as a Caribbean child growing up?
Mm,
Voodoo, black magic. That came to my
mm,
head. I'm like, oh my God, did somebody put something on me? Like, why am I
mm,
feeling like this? And it's crazy. That's the first thing that ran to my head. Like, yo, did somebody put something on me? Like, why
mm-hmm,
am I feeling like this? Like, what did I do? Like, why would somebody be so wicked? That's what I was running through my head. That was running through my head. So I think that was the growing up Caribbean. That's what kicked into me. But I just knew that it's a mental problem I was having, but I wasn't sure that it was only me. I thought it was other forces. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think
mm,
I ever told him that, honestly speaking. No, I think I did. I did. I told a few people that. I told a few people that. I never told
yeah,
an interviewer that. Yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's real. And I think you know, that's probably something that is more common than we know, right? That people of our ethnic group and background think because I know for me, I've shared on previous episodes that um, have anxiety as well. I have gone to therapy for it, and I went through my own journey with that. I was having anxiety attacks. Initially, that's what prompted me to go to therapy initially because I was having anxiety attacks. Like, I just felt like it progressively was getting worse, and so I was like, okay, let me get like a rein on it before, I don't have any control at all. But I was under the impression that it was like something physical going on. I thought like maybe something was wrong with my lungs because what would happen with anxiety attacks and panic attacks can manifest. It can almost feel like physical, like you're having a heart attack or you can't breathe or whatever. So I was under the impression that I something was wrong with my lungs or it was like a respiratory something that was going on. And I didn't think, even though I was in the field of mental health. I did not think that I could possibly be dealing with it. And I feel like partially that's because of my upbringing. That's because of
Yeah.
stigma, right? That's because of stigma. So I think like for sure it's not uncommon. And I think like this is what people need to hear. These are the real transparent conversations people need to hear, especially people of color, because we be trying to go around it the most and be like, nah, that's not what it is. Nah, that's not what it is. Just go out, go have some fun. That's
Get
not what
lit.
it
Get
is.
lit. Shots
Right.
on me.
Period. Period. Okay. And so, nah, I think that the story that you shared is dope. And I'm happy to hear that you are better. Like, even though it took time, it took almost 5 years, like for you to feel it, for
Right.
you to feel it. I'm like, I'm happy to hear that. I'm clapping for you. And
So long.
yeah, and what do you feel like has gotten you to the point to this point? Like, because you didn't take the medication, right? That they were so what were you doing to better yourself?
I won't be honest. Nothing.
Nothing?
I'm being honest. No, nothing. I was doing what would make me feel better. Um, my fault. Somebody was at my door.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing. Nothing. Um,
Were you doing the working out? Were you doing the drinking the teas like your parents suggested?
I mean, if you wanna look at that as something that helped me, I think that's something people should, like I was saying earlier, those are things that you should be implementing with your life. Like you should be taking herbs and your vitamins and working out. Those are things that you should be doing that we don't do, that we need to normalize to do, that is actual normal things that you should be doing. So
Yes.
that from the standpoint of doing stuff that isn't really quote unquote normal to do, um I was doing nothing. It like literally it took time. It took time to realize that I was what I was going through. Took time to reflect on what I was going through, to feel how I feel and be one with how I feel, and then take the initiative to, like, accept everything and then move forward. So it just took time.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe other remedies could help for other people and it could be faster, but
Yeah.
I that it was a growing experience for me personally. So I didn't mind that it took so long because I learned so much about myself in that time being. So yeah, with me it
Absolutely.
was just time. Like it's just I had to it had to let it run its course. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
still there. I still get like anxiety attacks sometimes. When I get really anxious, I don't get anxiety attacks anymore. I get very anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I get sporadic feelings of depression. I don't even call it depression no more. I just call it downtime. Like I'll feel a little down for a day or two, and then I'll get up and I'll be fine. But before it was so consistent, I would feel depressed for like weeks straight. So I don't
Yeah.
even call it depression. I just have sporadic downtimes and then I get anxious now. That's what I say now. So it's not fully gone. I just get downtimes and then I be anxious sometimes.
For
But it was
sure. For sure. And I think the language is important as well because people put these titles on themselves and then it's almost as if like they're stuck with it for life. So I feel like you saying like, yeah, I get anxious sometimes, or yeah, sometimes, I have
yeah,
downtime, it kind of puts the power in your hands and it's like, nah, like depression don't got you. You got depression. Like you right. And I feel like language is important. And I think another question that came up for me as you were talking was what do you think it is that caused you to become depressed? And what was causing the anxiety?
school,
Okay.
the pressure that my parents put on me with school. Yeah, it was school. Um, I think it's nothing else but school.
Okay.
I always felt like anything that I do, I gotta graduate. Like I literally cried because my advisor was like, "You may not graduate on time," and I didn't want to hear that. And I tried everything possible so I could graduate on time. I think it was the pressure of school since I was young. So
Okay.
I think when it comes, what I know, not even think, I know it was school.
Mm-hmm.
Once I left school, it was a shift. I had got worse for a second because I fell into post grad depression. But after post grad depression was over, which took the half of 2018 that I graduated, took the entire 2019, and then 2020 was COVID. So
Yeah,
that post grad depression was a year and a half for me. But that's still in correlation in relations to school. So definitely school.
for sure, for sure. And I think something that made me think of too, like just my experience of like when I was having anxiety attacks too. This happened like towards the end of my time in undergrad as well. And I think it was for me, like I talked about this in previous episodes, like it was just the thought of just being unsure of like the future. Like, okay, like I've had this structure for all this time from grade school, pre-K, kindergarten, you know, now K through 12, then college is structure. So now it's like go out into the world and make something of yourself, right? So for me, a lot of uncertainty is what for me I believe triggered the anxiety through going to therapy
I say
after.
something about that though.
Yeah.
That never stopped. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
we graduated from school, but then only thing that you're replacing school with now is work. Like it literally is the same structure. It's now instead of school, come home, sleep, repeat is work, come home, sleep, repeat. The structure never left. The things that we say in the structure, we still have that structure. It never changed. What changed
Mhm.
was what is comes first. Instead of school coming first, is now work coming first. Um, and only thing I could attest to is that downtime between finding work and that school, that middle section of things, that's when you could say, okay, cool. That's when you fall into post grad depression because you have not yet picked up a job yet, and your life was school the entire time. So I
Mhm.
don't like to hold on to the whole, oh, I don't have a structure anymore. I have a structure. It's just that
Mhm.
downtime is downtime before between school and finding a job. That's where a lot of the depression comes into play, and you feel like, oh, I have no structure. But as soon as you get a job or you pick up something that you love, the structure starts back. You
Yeah.
have to have structure.
No, absolutely. It's a it's the thought process. That's what it is. It's like because there's some people who don't experience like anxiety after they graduate, or there's some people who don't experience post grad depression because their mindset or the way that they are thinking about it or looking at it is different. So I think like um I feel like we kind of have some similarities in that I'm Caribbean. I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me to graduate. So in a way, I feel like I took that on. Not to say my mom was pressuring me and was down on me about like make sure you finish, but I felt like I wanted to finish college, and make my family proud, right? So that pressure is on my back, and then now feeling like, okay, like, am I going to find a job now? Am I going to be successful? There are these, and it's a transition period. I like to call it that. Going from college to like young adulthood, being a working person in the world is a big transition. And so with transition, any transition, whether that's you moving, whether that's you having a family, having a kid, whether
Yeah,
that's whatever, like any transition, any big transition will breed, you know, certain feelings of stress, anxiety, uncertainty.
right.
But really it's just about like managing it and being able to, talk through it, and have support.
Yeah, and once you have support, and then you finally commit yourself. Damn, y'all all see my address.
Yes, y'all. Go pull up on him.
Negative.
Go pull up on him. He in Brooklyn.
Nah. But
Go pull up on He-Man.
negative. But they over here
Nice
throwing
and
my
sunny over there
package.
though. It look nice and sunny.
It is. They throwing my package and it says fragile on it. Like,
That's disrespect.
come on now. I could have broke my crystals.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm into crystals. It
Okay.
keeps me calm.
We could talk about that too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. Transitions can be a lot for people, but I think what I want to encourage people with, and I think that's what you were also saying as well, He-Man, is like the mindset shift has to happen.
Like I'm listening to you, and I'm like, it's making me reflect.
Yeah, what you thinking?
I don't think school is strictly for partying. Let me stop.
I'm
no,
dead. Not partying.
no, I think
The parties be they yeah, you learn how to party in school though.
school is for just experience. You paying for the experience. You paying to learn about yourself. You're paying for the connections. You're not paying for the real world in terms of how to
Yeah.
adapt to what's going on or find a job. You're not paying for that. You're not even paying for the education. Half of the shit. Oh, I'm not even sure. It's my fault. Half of the thing that we learn in school, we don't even use in real life. So school is for the experience.
Okay. You better
School
say
is
it
for
again for the
the
people in the
all that
back.
we went through and all the friendships, and we realize who is who and what people. School. That's one thing school taught us about the real world, though. Who people are. School taught us, if anything, school taught us about the real world, who people are and who people you will be encountering in the workforce and real life relationships. Because a lot of school relationships be.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you that as you were saying that. How many college friends do you still have?
Damn, why you being so mixy?
My bad. My
Damn. All
bad.
right, let me separate them. Hold
No,
on.
just tell me the number.
I
If you
can't. I can't. That's problematic. That's problematic. That's
Ooh.
problematic.
Okay, okay,
And the reason
okay.
I'm saying that's problematic is because I have, if we look at the larger picture, I have friends that I can't even count on my fingers.
Okay, so that's good.
Looking at the larger picture, because I'm so cool with so much people, because I'm not a negative Nancy. Like I like to be around good energy and stuff.
Okay, great.
People that I'm close to,
From college.
can I include high school?
Not legit. I was just asking with college because I feel like I wish I would have made more friends in college. Um because like now, like I'm very like independent and like solo dolo. Like I have people that I'm cool with. I have like my circle, which is like this small. And so like, I wish I would have, in a way made more of my college experience by being more out there and being more open to
I
people.
got 10 solid friends. 10 solid.
And that's amazing. That's beautiful. That's
Like
amazing.
close, solid friends that I know that's not going nowhere. They communicate with me at least every week. 10 solid friends. Like those are solid. They're not going nowhere. They know
That's
that the
dope.
10 know where they are. But they was
Dope.
actually at my birthday dinner. I had 10 friends at my birthday dinner, 5 boys, 5 girls. And then I
Dope.
think no, I had actually it's 10 solid friends that I speak to consistently. I'm lying. It's a little bit more than that. But I had on my birthday dinner, I had 10 solid people that I'm close to. Um,
Mm,
I didn't plan it. My best friend did, but he invited the 10 people. The 10 people he knew about because I speak to about them often, and he has connections with them.
right.
But I did not have other people that I'm close to as well. But they're not like I call those 10 people my best friends. Like it sounds
Mhm.
crazy, but I got like 10 best friends. but
Wow, that's
yeah,
beautiful though. That's beautiful. I feel like that's something that even as we're talking about mental health, when you have a support system, when you have solid individuals in your life, do you feel like you can go to them if you were going through hardships with your mental health?
nah,
No.
no.
So who do you go when you are going through something in regards to your mental health? Do you go to anyone? Do you talk to anybody? Do you confide in anybody?
Yeah,
And who
my,
would you? Who?
my mommy, my
Of
mother.
course. That's
I'm the
beautiful.
mama's boy. I'm the only child. My mother. Sometimes she don't be getting it, which I understand. But my mother. That's it. My best friend before, yeah, my main best friend, but he is busy now. Like he got his life. He works in a hospital, so ain't no way I could call him, tell him about how I'm feeling. And he gets off of work at 1 a.m. Not happening. So
Yeah.
I go to my mother and tell her stuff.
Okay. Dope. And I a question that another question. What is one way that you feel like black women can help black men or hold space for black men um in regards to them being vulnerable or being allowing black men to be open and expressive about their mental health?
This is a tricky question.
Nah, it's not tricky, just honest. What do you think? I just want to know your honest
This
thoughts.
this is a tricky question.
So you said it's a tricky question because
Nah, that's problematic. That's how you get framed.
it's not problematic. I think that's
Yes,
something
it
that
is. Yes, it is.
as a black woman, I know black women want to know.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. And my fellas probably gonna be like, yo, what the bro? I'm gonna tell you the truth. We hate to feel inferior to the woman. That's straight up the truth. And the thing with that is a lot of men, I'm not gonna say all men, a lot of men hate to feel inferior to the woman. We don't want to be deemed as weak because we are the man. That's what society made us think, you know? So a lot of women also thinks that way too. Like y'all can say, nah, I'm all here for men opening up and expressing their emotions. But then a lot of women are also in that traditional ways of thinking as well. It also thinks how the vast society thinks as well. Like, oh, a guy needs to be this, and he needs to be a man. He needs to be. Women still think like that, and it gets me tight. Like when we speak about stuff like that, and then us men, black men, get bashed. Like, oh, that's how y'all think. That's why this. That's why that, and just drag us through the mud. Like that's not the case. We want to open up to you guys, but we don't want to feel inferior because you made us feel that way. I'm not trying to blame women, but I'm just saying something like certain conversation, like society made us feel that way. Women for years ago made us feel that way. So you know how we talk about slavery and stuff like that, and when stuff happens today, we still feel that way. That same context is how it was years ago. Like we as men had to feel like we are in charge or we are the head of the household. We are the breadwinners. Like we've always had to. So that's like, I don't know how to say it, like trauma in a way, like the way that we think, because the way things used to be. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing. Things like that needs to change. But there's also women that's also caught up in that, like thinking, yeah, the guy needs to be doing this, the guy needs to be doing that. And that's what society made us feel. So when black women, I can't even say black, women in general come to us and say, hey, we want to be there for you, it's just like, thanks. It's hard to open up to you because then I'm gonna feel inferior to you because that's what society made me feel like for years. So it's gonna take some time. Like that's why I said that topic is very problematic. And I
Mm-hmm.
always that's problematic. I be seeing people on Twitter talking about it like that, and it just be a whole bunch of bull, honestly speaking. But people need to understand, women need to understand, not only black women, all women need to understand things used to be a certain way back in the days. And
Mm-hmm.
the same way how we feel the way about certain things that happened to us years ago, that's the same thing that we will feel about this specific topic. And how that's why it's so hard for even black people to talk about mental health in general, because for so many years it's just been hard. So that's why now it's like everybody's trying to talk about it and trying to normalize it, but it's a process, you feel me? So women,
Yeah.
black women, if we're speaking on black women, they need to be patient because it's a process. We're not just gonna jump on our 2 feet and get on our knees and praise to you about how we going, what we're going through. Um, yeah, that's why I didn't want to talk about that, because they quick to drag you through the mud.
Who, women or black women?
Black women, I'm keeping it 100.
Which black woman is dragging who through the mud?
Quick to drag you through the mud. As soon as you mess up on a little thing, like, oh no, he's canceled. Nah, right? He's canceled. I don't like that. Nigga, I don't want to be canceled. I don't got time.
I appreciate you for sharing honestly though. I respect it. Okay. So
You problematic. First you want to ask me about friends, and then now you want to ask me about yo.
okay. So was there ever any point during your time in college that you thought maybe I should seek out a therapist?
Yeah, I
Mm,
did.
you did.
Went
How was
and
that experience?
they gave me a white woman, and I was like, "What the yo?" I said, "What do you know about me?" She was like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what she said. I'm just gonna teach you some techniques, like breathing techniques, the 5 techniques, the pick 5 things you see, 4 things you could smell, 3 things that you can taste.
Okay,
I'm like,
mindfulness.
yeah,
Mindfulness.
I'm like, thank you, miss, but that's not helping me out about how I'm feeling right now. Um, do you on medications? Do you? That's all it was. Then I complained, and then they switched me to a guy. He was mad cool. That was my boy. And
Mm-hmm.
then he pinpointed a lot of stuff before shit happened. Before things
Mm.
happened. My fault for cursing. Before things happened. Um,
Okay. And did you feel like that experience with him was helpful for you, or was it just it
I feel
wasn't
like it was
stable?
a friend type. Like I think that's how it should be, but I feel like it was a friend. Like I'm talking to a friend. But I think my thing was I wanted assistance. Like I wanted to know what, because there's a difference between a therapist and a what's the other one? There's a difference between a therapist and a, but there's a difference. One is to listen, and one is to help you out, that give you steps.
Hmm.
You go to therapy, I don't yeah, I think a therapist is not supposed to tell you, oh, what is it called,
Like a counselor
not a
versus
counselor. Oh damn, nah, wait, this is gonna bother me the whole time.
mentor?
Like a life coach,
Yes.
kind of like somebody that does life coach. There's a difference with like a life coach and a therapist. Like therapist is just there to listen to you. They're not really there to give you the steps that you need to take. Like they just there to let you talk it out and for you to figure it out yourself. You need a life coach to tell
Mm.
you, so you can say how you feeling, and so they can help you figure it out in terms of what some things that you could implement in your life to help you develop yourself mentally.
So
But
you feel like that's what you needed at that time.
that's what I needed. I needed a life coach, not somebody to sit down and listen to me. I needed a life coach.
Mm.
And we've always say, oh, find a therapist. No, we need to find a life coach. A life coach can help us figure out a lot. A therapist is just going to listen to our trauma.
But you know what? I think that just in my defense, because that's what I'm feel me. But I think through that process, the goal with most therapists, counselors, the goal is through that process of you sitting down, talking about how you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to that's the goal, right? It doesn't always work out that way, but the goal is for you throughout that process is to become so empowered and realize so much about yourself that you have figured out what's best for you and how to navigate in life, right? But I mean, therapists, they provide techniques, they provide tools. So, like, though, at least any good therapist, I feel like, is not just sitting there every time, like just looking at you talk, but they're providing tools and techniques at the same time that you can implement.
I use crystals to meditate, to be sent to myself. People don't believe in it, but I think you give power to something when you believe in it. So nothing will work if you don't give power to it. If you don't give power to God, but you praying, that ain't gonna work. If you praying and you don't actually believe, that ain't gonna work. So it's
Right.
whatever you give power to. So I give power to God, of course. That's first. But I meditate with crystals. I give like affirmations to crystals to help me recenter myself, for me to be calm. And I had to buy me a new crystal. I have to like sage it and clean it, because I don't know the person personally that was handling this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a rainbow fluorite crystal. and it helps out with centering yourself with a lot of stuff.
Dope.
So I collect crystals. I have one in my hand. This one is for creativity, and then
Nice.
tiger eye on my neck. So that's what I really enjoy.
Before we end today, we definitely got to get into um your project, okay? Because
Yes.
that's big. That's big, okay? And that's something that stood out to me as I was, doing my research on you. Um you're a mental health advocate.
Yes, man.
And yeah, first talking about that, how you went from, you know, having your own experience with mental health to becoming a mental health advocate, and then the project Junior. Um yeah, I just want to hear about all of it. How it came to fruition, what was the inspiration and everything behind it.
All right, so let's start with the other question you asked. How did I revert from going through my own personal experience and then getting into being a mental health advocate? Now, after I experienced post grad depression, was vocal. I was vocal on my social media about it, and I had so much support. I never felt support like that ever a day in my life before. I was like, sheesh, like, dang. I was like, and I was feeling to off myself a couple months ago, but I appreciate y'all. And everybody came to me and actually spoke about their own personal experience and was vocal with me about their own personal experience. And that's what gave me the courage to be like, okay, cool. Now I want to make a documentary. And I made a documentary, and with my friends, a couple people, I asked anybody that wanted to be in it that was willing to open up about how they was feeling. I shot it right in my house, right back there. I set up and I shot it, and I did on-screen recordings from like Skype calls and stuff like that. And it did so well. I was on the Brooklyn News 12. I was on the Bronx Net News. I got invited to Princeton
Wow.
and stuff like that. I spoke at different colleges. I spoke at different summits. I was part of so many different panelists. It was crazy. Like 2019, like that one was for the books. I was like, yo. And then women, specifically Black women, was like, because after that, I used to start making like a lot of mental health short films surrounding Black men. Specifically, now I'm saying specifically Black women was like, oh, you don't make any films for us. I was like, oh my gosh.
Okay.
I'm creating films of what I know. I don't want to fake something. Like, I'm a guy, I'm making it about how I feel. And it was like, but you need to implement women. I'm like, all right, Black women. I'm like, all right, cool, gotcha. So I did a couple of mental health pieces with Black women. And then after, they were still telling me, it's not enough. I'm like, yo, beggars can't be choosers, but all right, cool.
I'm dead.
Let's do a hair documentary.
Okay.
And I did a weave and hair documentary, and all these girls came, they supported it, it was part of it. They loved it. I was like, all right,
Okay.
cool, cool, cool. Now can I get back to my mental health stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And then this project I was working on since I graduated actually. 2018. I had started, it was a thought. It was between two different ideas. And then post grad depression happened, and I did the documentary. Then I like switched my focus, but it was always a thought. Then 2019, at the end of 2019, I was like, yo, I'm gonna do this in 2020. I was like, I'm gonna do it in like June 2020. COVID happened. I was like, damn. I was like, all right, let me plan to do it in October. COVID was still going on. I'm like, damn. So November came around. I did like a casting. I didn't do a casting. I looked for people that I wanted to be in the film. And I was like, yo, I'm shooting in April 2021. Didn't happen. Like things was happening. I had to cancel it. Then I was like, all right, I'm gonna shoot in August 2021. And that's final. But I was like, I'm gonna do it the right way. I'm gonna do casting, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna find a team, I'm gonna do everything. Because I was doing everything on my own. I think that's why it didn't work out. Then I finally found a cast. We went over 600 submissions. That's really beast. Like, y'all gotta really think about 600 people. We had to go through 600 audition videos to see like their monologues and stuff like that. And then we had to do interviews on top of that. Um,
Mm.
that experience was crazy. Then after I wrote the script, I had wrote the script back in November time around there. Um, and I was unsure. I actually fell into depression again and canceled it. I just didn't want to do it. I just, mm-mm. I was like, yo, this is too much. Like, I don't wanna do this no more. I didn't want to do film no more. I came off of social media. I disappeared, and then while I disappeared, I was like, yo, I gotta do this. So now I came back and I'm over here asking for money. Everybody like, boy, you just came back and you over here talking about help you raise $10,000. You've been going for butts, but it's just like, nah, wait, chill. Like, I had a moment. I had to understand my gift and what I'm capable of doing, and I actually need y'all help this time because this film is 25K. I don't got 25K.
Yeah.
I need 10,000. So I've been raising money to help spread the mental health awareness about the film.
It's
But
amazing. I love to hear it. I love to see it. Yeah, make sure y'all go support that. I mean, all of He-Man's information will be, posted. So you guys follow him, support.
Armstrong everywhere. He-Man
Yeah,
Armstrong, Twitter, He-Man Armstrong, Instagram, He-Man Armstrong, Facebook. Just type
absolutely.
in He-Man Armstrong, Google. Google me.
Right. Period. Google him. And yeah, I think so. How did you go about like that process? How did you go about picking the people for like the set roles? Like, was it, yeah, how'd you go about that?
Okay, I'll speak about the main character.
Hmm.
His name is Junior. I wanted him to speak proper like a Mo F. Like I have a cursing power. I curse like a sailor. I'm trying my hardest now. But I wanted him to speak so proper, but be from Brooklyn. And the reason
Okay.
being, when people back in the early 2000s, for me, when I never used to speak as proper, but I used to have a loving demeanor. I was judged. So the whole film is like a reflection of my own personal life. So I wanted him to be proper because a lot of people from the hood, especially in Brooklyn, would judge you if you speak proper, which is so backwards. But they'll be like, oh, he not from here. One interview, I was interviewing a guy, yo, he turned to me, he was like, yeah, you're not from Brooklyn. I'm like, because I'm speaking this way, like,
Right.
can't be from, you're not from Best Star. I said, nah, I'm from Crown Heights. He's like, yeah, I could tell. You mean, like, what you mean you could tell? Because the
Okay.
like, yeah, it was weird. Like, people was just being weird. So I was like, and this is exactly why I want the character to be this way. So the character, when we finally selected him, he was so nervous because of the dialogue. He seen the script. He was like, oh, I don't know if I could pull this off as a lead. I don't know how to be a gangster. I'm like, oh, you don't gotta be no gangster. This is not a gangster role. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's how I went around the selection. I went around the selections of certain characters or actually certain people in my life. Um, Certain people from my high school that I was cool with. Like, they'll notice themselves if they really, really pay attention.
Okay.
Um and yeah, certain characters they will notice themselves, but you can't really say their names or close to their names because then they're gonna run and want to check when everything drops.
Yeah.
So so some characters
Okay.
will notice themselves like, oh shoot, we used to be cool and this is exactly what happened. I'm like, yeah, this is a guy because this is part of my own life experience. But instead of a filmmaker, he's a painter.
Dope. Very dope. I love that. And I know like when I was watching your IGTV and you were talking about, you have mentioned like this spiritual aspect of like, growing up religious. Was that your experience as well?
My mom didn't grow me up religious, but my grandmother was very religious, and everybody around us were religious. So they used to always talk about church stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I'm going to damn church. Like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
going to church. So I knew a lot of people that also went through that experience, which was actually worse than mine, of growing up and their father is a pastor and their mother is a sister in the church is, and it was hard for them to express themselves. But personally, like I've dealt with that, but not to that extreme. So
Okay.
the storyline, you gotta amp it up a little bit, and it's not completely me. Um, it's
Okay.
still my imagination and my thoughts process. So
Hmm.
you'll see it. The opening scene, fire. Did we film it yet? No. But when we do film it, fire.
I'm here. I'm here for it. Okay, like you have my full support. I already done started sharing your stuff, and I know already see my peoples. I shared it. My peoples were sharing it because we don't. It's not so common that we see that, right? Like in our backyard, like yo, like a black filmmaker that's making a film about mental health. The only other person that I know who has done something like that is a celebrity, and that's Kofi Cerebral. Um,
Yeah, he did
yeah.
like a short. The girl that was in his video about it, um, she was in my mental health documentary actually.
Wow. Look at that. You feel
In
me?
that,
Like
yeah.
that's fire. Like when I saw it, I was over here like, that's fire. Like it's like I love to see it. And so yeah, you have my full support. That's why I wanted you to come on here and share. Yeah, I love to see it. And you have my full support. Thank you again so much for
Thank you for having me. And one more thing, don't forget, guys, donate, donate, donate. We at 28 days left. We are, I think, 17% in 3 days. That's
to the
not
goal.
bad.
Right to the goal.
To the goal. Not
Mm.
bad in 3 days. So, today, Friday, payday. So help your boy out. It's gonna be masterpiece. I'm gonna be doing heavy promotions now. I had to take 2 days to my mental health. Honestly
Mhm.
speaking, if I'm being honest, like everything was such a strain. I was like, yo, I need 2 days to just recollect myself. So I just went outside, and before I did this podcast, I did a TikTok because I'm gonna be posting
Period.
for promotional purposes.
TikTok is lit right now. That's
Get
the
it
hot
pop.
spot. Like, yeah, for promotion,
Yes,
definitely.
yes, man.
And yeah, I was trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like there's so much. I love episodes like this, so I'm always like, we could keep it going, but I feel like we covered a lot. So,
We covered a good amount
hmm
of how I've been feeling, what I do. We covered my crystals.
yes. And
Oh,
when did you get into crystals? That's that we I did. When
this
did you
recent, honestly. I had
recent?
started buying certain things last year, and then recently I started buying like because I thought like crystals was a cool jewelry thing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Jewelry, yes.
Yeah, I think it was a cool calm jewelry thing, and then like I started to like buy actual crystals to be in the house,
Hmm.
and I love them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. Like just seeing the colors, being around it. I slept with them next to my bed head yesterday because I wanted to manifest that 10th dab.
Heavy on
so,
that. Heavy.
so yeah.
Hmm.
That's when I got into crystals and stuff. Crystals
Okay.
not for everybody though. Take your own time to get into that.
Hmm.
Just don't buy it. Learn about them.
Yes.
Connect with them because people think it's a cool thing to get now. I'm like, all right, play with that spiritual world. That joint is dangerous as it is good.
Absolutely. You have to, yeah. I concur. I think like always do your research and make sure before you get into something you know about it thoroughly.
And
Thoroughly. Absolutely. And yeah, I guess something that we didn't talk about but I think came up for me is like as far as because I know when you mentioned when you were in school, like drinking, partying, smoking, like that was something that was you would do, right? Do you currently still drink and smoke and stuff like that? And do you feel like I know at the time you said you didn't feel like the weed necessarily had anything to do with, you know, how you was feeling. How do you feel about that now? And do you still party? Like
that's a great, great, great question.
mhm,
Um, yeah, that's a great question because when after I felt sick, I had stopped smoking. Then I started back smoking again, and then I stopped completely for like 4 years. And then when I smoked when I went to LA that one time because I was in LA. Who don't want to try Cali
Mhm.
weed? So that wasn't when I went to go film the Ellen show back in 2019. Yeah,
What?
yeah, I was on the Ellen show
You
in
better talk about your accolades on here and stop being humble.
20. So that was back in 2019, and that's when I did smoke. I'm not gonna lie. And then I smoked again this year.
Mhm.
I smoked when I went to PR.
Okay.
I was in PR, but I didn't like get high the whole time. I just smoked like once.
Mhm.
I don't smoke no more. If that's the real question. I don't really smoke. Drink, I do drink, but I only drink to celebrate. Like yesterday, I went to go buy me a drink at Buffalo Wild Wings, some calm stuff,
Mhm.
because I launched my film campaign, and I was just like, let me go celebrate by myself. Just went to go get a drink
That's
and
it.
home, just something calm. I don't drink to get drunk. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I don't drink to get drunk anymore. I think I don't want to feel drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think though, like, because I know you mentioned at that time, which I feel like I think what I feel like is people know themselves more than other people, right? So I think you know your body, you know how certain substances affect you, affect your mental health. So you know if you have this thing, how it's going to affect you or how it won't. But I think like for people who, may not have like, you know, knowledge to know like, okay, like, yeah, these substances do affect, they can affect like you chemically. It's a chemical and your brain has chemicals in it that react to certain things, right? So I think like just when you have mentioned that too, I feel like there are some cases where people, alcohol or marijuana exacerbated feelings of mental health that they were experiencing, but for some people, it don't. So I think like, just something that I just wanted to say too, for people to be conscious of, the amount, and to know, like, be up on, okay, what it is that you are smoking, because there are people whose weed get laced, they do not gain it, it's not pure and stuff like that. So I think, for people to just know that you got to be conscious of yourself. You got to know yourself. You got to be self-aware. And so I think, not overdoing it. Like He Man said, now you don't drink to get drunk, you drink to celebrate. Drinking socially, of course, recreationally is not bad, but
I don't smoke at all though. I'm good off that. No, 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 nothing to anybody that smoke, because a boy like me,
right, right, right.
I was smoking minimum 5 blunts a day my junior year. Nah, I'm not gonna cap. Or in my sophomore year, my sophomore year was crazy. But yeah, I was wild. So I'm not judging anybody that do smoke.
For
I just
sure. For
don't.
sure. This is no judgment. No judgment. It's more so, if anything, because I like to make sure we do, speak educationally, we give people knowledge.
Right,
Everybody has the freedom to make whatever choices that they want, but just making sure like you're being wise and you know exactly what you're doing. And so yeah, because I mean now, marijuana is legal in a lot of places now. There are also health benefits of THC and CBD. I am a CBD advocate and consumer. When I get to, when I start to feel too anxious or I feel like I gotta chill out, I do take CBD oil. I'm not like, a person that's like, you can't do that, So it's just a thing of just know what you're doing. Like before I started taking CBD, I did a lot of research on it. I'm like, what's the difference between CBD and THC? Like, you just want to know like what, So I think, yeah, that's
so weed is just extracted THC.
right, right. Okay,
Yeah.
so it comes from the same plant, same thing. They just got different forms of it now. They got the gummies, they got the weed, that you could crush up and smoke, or they got the oil. So it's, you know, yeah. So, yeah. Thank you so much,
But
He
in terms of
Man.
partying, like you asked me earlier,
Yeah,
in terms of partying, um, I don't party at all. I don't even go to brunch.
you don't go
I'm
to brunch.
nah, that
You lost
ass.
me. You lost me right there.
I don't do nothing. Reason being, I think I just want to focus right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was in college, I did college right. So
Okay.
now it's time to sit my butt down and get what I gotta get done.
Mhm. Mhm. I feel like a lot of my you know, a lot of my like turning up and really like being outside happened like after I graduated from college, which, some people get it. Some people, they have it the full experience in college. Some people start from high school actually. But me, because then, growing up Caribbean and being a Caribbean woman, it's like, yeah, you kind of want a little tight leash there. So yeah, I respect it, and I appreciate you so much for sharing so openly and transparently. And yeah, man, you have any? Yeah, make sure you tell the people where they can follow you one more time so people don't forget it.
You can follow me on He-Man Armstrong. I'm global, not local. I'm global. And I'm stop playing.
Period.
You can find me anywhere, He-Man Armstrong. Just type it in. If you need help, ask Google.
That's
Ask,
it.
ask Siri. Ask Alexa.
Yes. Period. Okay, and your Mental Matters podcast, y'all. We are out.
Out of here.